But there's some preachers, man, in cities you better not say nothing about. You be beat to death. That's a game they play. And Americans are good at it. They say one thing and do something else. And all that old spooky hoodoo stuff that used to work, it don't work now. The whole vibration changed. That television has an effect.
Greetings and welcome to an installment of Kamara's Contemplations. After banning Donald Sterling from the NBA for life, there was much celebrating, specifically amongst African Americans. But in reality, what was actually accomplished? As usual, blacks were left with nothing but a moral victory. Black leadership in and outside of the NBA blew perhaps the greatest opportunity to advance the conditions of African Americans since the so-called Civil Rights Movement. Black leadership, however, did what they normally do: play checkers instead of chess and react emotionally instead of thinking clearly. Donald Sterling was never the problem in the first place. Sterling was just a shingle on a large roof, a leaf in a rainforest, and only a symptom of a much larger issue. We must first understand that Sterling's remarks in private were not racist. Racism is what you do publicly, not what you say privately. It's an action thing. Instead of calling for Sterling's removal, blacks should have been sending him thank you cards. Here we have a black collective with virtually no land ownership, 1 million men incarcerated, and severely lagging in education, health, and a host of other things. And because of Donald Sterling's conversation, suddenly in a position to do something about it. Sterling's remarks opened the door to the reality of the subservient position of black males who continue to be exploited based on their original reason for being brought to America, and that's to make money for their superiors by way of their physical attributes, whether that be picking cotton balls or shooting basketballs. The reality is that black bodies are still inspected, appraised, and shipped off in sports today as they were in auctions during slavery, and black bodies are the primary merchandise of private owners of sports teams as well as private owners of prisons. Instead of seeing the bigger picture, Doc Rivers, head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers, chose to pursue an insignificant championship trophy and ring.
Our goal is to win the NBA title, and we're not going to let anything stand in the way of that.
Doc Rivers, Michael Jordan, and all other blacks in NBA leadership positions should have insisted that all black NBA players take an indefinite leave of absence from playing and participating in the game of professional basketball in order to evaluate and assess the master-to-slave relationship that is prevalent not only in the NBA, but in all major sports in the United States where blacks dominate. What this chess move would have done is create much needed leverage for blacks across the country. For instance, blacks, now in the driver's seat, could have demanded that certain terms be met before returning to playing, knowing full well that black bodies are needed to continue these multi-billion-dollar businesses. For instance, demanding that a significant percentage of revenue generated by the NBA go towards historical black colleges and universities, closing the digital divide between blacks and whites in public schools, scholarships for underprivileged youth, and a percentage towards fighting unjust prison sentences and creating re-entry opportunities for black men who've been disenfranchised due to non-violent offenses. Every black student in the country could have had his or her college tuition paid over the next 20 years. Those demands would have been a small price to pay for the NBA, advertisers, stadiums, and vendors that stood a lot more to lose without the services of the black athlete. Blacks must learn to play to their strengths and use it to their advantage. Black strength, primarily in this country, is in sports and entertainment. And the same strategy of taking an indefinite amount of time off to evaluate and assess the master-to-slave relationship to create leverage could have been duplicated in the NFL, that has perhaps the greatest example of the master-to-slave relationship in all of sports, college or professional. The NFL, where nearly 70% of the players are black, is dominated by the big, strong, fast black brute, but is ruled by the non-athletic but cerebral white quarterback, who's the captain, the leader, and the brains of the team, who gets all the glory in an often proclaimed quarterback-driven league. Not to mention the fact that there are no black NFL owners, only 6 black general managers out of 32 teams, 3 black head coaches, only 9% of league office staff, and less than a handful of black starting quarterbacks. This strategy could have also been duplicated in college, where the term student athlete is erroneously applied.
They're coming in with reading levels of 4th, 5th, 6th grade. There's even some who are reading below a 4th grade level.
Athletes have always taken easy courses. What's different about it now?
It's become institutionalized. When the rules changed and the schools had to graduate roughly half of their student athletes, or so-called student athletes, students were systematically funneled into these easier courses.
Sometimes the most tragic part of enslavement is not even recognizing that you are a slave, or even worse, knowing you are, but submissively adjusting to it. That seems to be the case with so many blacks in leadership positions. It's mind-boggling to think that the players were not advised by their elder leaders to not step back out there on that plantation disguised as a basketball court until certain terms were met. The opportunity that Donald Sterling presented to blacks was a time for reflection, a time to take strong and calculated action, and to create leverage. In the minds of most athletes are those whose paychecks are signed by those who control their thoughts and behavior. The idea of not playing sounded absurd. But real change in the interest of the greater good comes with great sacrifice. But how much sacrificing are we willing to do? Who or what will we sell out to next time? It appears as if a great opportunity to improve our collective predicament has come and gone. And all we can say is that blacks dropped the ball again, thanks to weak leadership. I hope Al Sharpton, Magic Johnson, and everyone else who lobbied for the 81-year-old Sterling to be banned is happy. What else could Commissioner Adam Silver do but ban Sterling for life? He knew that so many rallying and marching blacks like Sharpton were waiting to throw temper tantrums.
If they do not move immediately, we're planning on Tuesday to rally in front of the National Basketball Association in New York. And I've talked to my people in LA about rallying in front of the game.
In the end, though, nothing was really accomplished. We chose to keep playing like children, but ultimately, we got played. I'm Jeremiah Kamara. Please visit me at jeremiahkamara.com.
But there's some preachers, man, in cities you better not say nothing about. You be beat to death. That's a game they play. And Americans are good at it. They say one thing and do something else. And all that old spooky hoodoo stuff that used to work, it don't work now. The whole vibration changed. That television has an effect